When we write a complete server later, then it's going to respond with a line that starts out http/ and then the version of the protocol that the server is working with. There'll be a status and a status message, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more. It also replies with headers, each terminated by CRLF. These headers are again metadata about the result and about how it's transmitted. So in particular, this data might be some HTML for a web page. There could be a header field to say how long that data is, so the client knows how much to read, or whether the connection's being kept open for future requests, and so on. The status is going to indicate whether the request was successful or not. A status of 200 means that the request was satisfied. A status of 301 means that the request was not satisfied, and what the server is returning instead is an address over to ask again some other place. 400 means that there was a bad request from the client, maybe not a well-formed first line here, or maybe not something that can be done, like some sort of path interpreted as an action that can't be done. And finally, 500 series of status codes is things that are not the client's fault, but the server's fault. It can't be done because it's out of resource, or there was a crash of some helper program or something like that. And so generally speaking, when you use HTTP, you're looking for a 200 status. The status message is just a human readable variant of the status codes. And of course, there are many more status codes. These are just some of the most common ones. So we can see the server replies before writing our own server by just telnetting to an existing web server. So let's use telnet to contact www.ing.utah.edu at port 80. And let's ask it, let's get ~CS4400, and let's just claim 1.0. So when I hit return, it sent one carriage return line feed to the other server. And when I hit it again, that terminates the headers. And we get a lot of information back. If we can scroll up, then that's because that's the class web page, and it's kind of long. All right, we got back to the start of the reply. So this is what the server sent back. HTTP 1.1, 200 means it worked. And another interesting field in the header is the content length. So there was 41,412 bytes following down here after the headers are terminated by this blank line. And the server says that it was closing the connection at the end of sending this data. And finally, that the content type was text HTML, which is what a browser would, when it gets that kind of content type, then it just renders it on the screen for you.